It's past the third reading, actually. And so the next question is, will it be passed into law by the executive branch of government, or will it be stopped? But if so, then political tension will continue. And so it is quite controversial because of these new powers. The party that is pushing for it is the pro-China party in Taiwan politics, and historically the authoritarian party. And so this push for new powers to investigate individuals, private individuals, workers in government, members of corporations, it's seen as threatening civic freedoms by a number of civil society groups right here demonstrating.
And you talk about the opposition being pro-China. What are they trying to achieve with these reforms, and how would that aid China?
For example, there are a number of legislators of the KMT that have been accused of leaking military secrets to China. For example, the co-chair of the Defense Committee of the legislature is accused of leaking details of Taiwan's domestic submarine program to not only China, but also South Korea. And so if you do question, for example, government officials in security positions or regarding defense, and they are obligated to answer, otherwise facing jail terms or fines, then perhaps you're revealing classified information in a way that benefits China.
Considering that we just saw the inauguration of a new president who is very much trying to follow in the footsteps of the last in terms of Taiwan's independence, how could this jeopardize that?
It is the first major political controversy of the Lai presidency. So we're about a week in. The protests have ballooned very rapidly in the past week, starting from the Friday before last, 300 people to 300,000 on Tuesday, the day after the Lai inauguration, 100,000 last Friday, and today it's around 15,000 so far. And so it's a question how he handles it, because the question is, it is caught up in the legislature. So what happens when you do come in as the president? Is this kind of contention always going to be happening? Because of the fact the next 4 years, the KMT is going to be the party that holds a slight majority in the legislature.
Yeah, but it could lead to quite a lot of instability, don't you think?
Absolutely. And so the question is, will there be continued protests of this sort? Or will the KMT continue to try to push through legislation in spite of the potential controversy? Because how it has blown up as an issue in such a short amount of time, when there's not a lot of discussion before 2 weeks ago, is quite remarkable. And yet the KMT and the Lion Party, the TPP, the smaller ally party, are very intent on pushing for it. And so it actually kind of makes me a bit surprised. I mean, there are potential electoral repercussions for the KMT as well, particularly in spite of its, in consideration of its lacking support from young people.
Yeah, indeed. So you talk about, how this movement has been growing. Do you think it's going to continue to grow? Do you think it's going to still continue to have some influence?
It's a very good question because of the fact that the bill has already passed. And so a lot is really dependent on what other sections of government take, what course of action they take. For example, does the executive not carry it through? Is there a constitutional interpretation, for example, in the judiciary? And so in the meantime, protests seem set to continue, or at least today they're not dissipating. It's a question if further things will occur later in the night or in future protests. There's a lot of call, for example, for local organizing regarding the issue going forward, regarding local politicians that are supportive of the changes to legislative procedures.
And all of this is happening, Brian, as we see China carrying out these drills supposedly to punish the new president and Taiwan because he spoke out and continued to support Taiwan's independence.
Exactly. So it is quite interesting timing that's all happening at once. The interesting thing is that Taiwan often does not have a very strong reaction to Chinese military drills. And it's also the case here. Even in the protests, it does come up sometimes. That's not the main overarching theme, for example. And so that's another aspect of it. It's very much caught in domestic electoral politics and how the sense of a threat from China is felt through that because the KMT is perceived as a pro-China party.
Yeah. Going to be one to watch. Great to have you on. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.